Herc, those are some big shoes to fill. Do you like the move to West Ham for Edson Alvarez?
I love the move for Edson Alvarez because it's the Premier League. Listen, I know that we had aspirations for Edson Alvarez. I think he's the best defensive midfielder in CONCACAF. And at one point, you had teams like Chelsea looking for his services. Chelsea put up a $50 million bid for Ajax that Ajax turned down. They went another route, and they went for Enzo Fernandez and spent that crazy amount of money on him. And then you have teams like Borussia Dortmund who are looking at Edson Alvarez. And then guess what? Too much money, we're going to go elsewhere as well. I know it's not a top 8 team, that type of team, but it's still the best team in the world. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. It's still the best league in the world that Edson Alvarez is going to, that he will have top competition day in and day out. And when there are less and less Mexican players playing abroad at the highest of levels, and when just any of those Mexican players playing abroad at any level are coming back, here's a Mexican player that says, you know what, I'm going to test myself in the deepest of waters. It is worrying that he will be filling shoes of a $100 million midfielder. But this is a big club.
How big a worry? How big a worry is that for you? You've been in the player's shoes. How big a problem is that when you're stepping into that type of situation?
Listen, this is a Conference League team, but the winners of the Conference League, right? This is a player that he's replacing that was sold for over $100 million, and you look at the ranks, ranked first in everything in his team. He's a club legend there at such a young age. He will be compared to everything Declan Rice was. Every move he makes will be compared to Declan Rice. That is daunting. That is daunting if you're a Mexican national team fan, if you're a fan of Edson Alvarez, if you're Edson Alvarez himself. But this is what you want to go to the big show for. This is what you want to be in the deep waters for, to prove that you're one of those big fish. It's an amazing opportunity in the best league in the world, and one that you cannot turn down.
You know what's interesting? I was talking to someone that knows David Moyes quite well recently, and they weren't talking about Edson Alvarez. David Moyes was asking about Weston McKennie. So obviously things may have changed with Weston McKennie, but maybe there's a midfield in the future for West Ham that involves both Edson Alvarez and Weston McKennie. I got to be honest with you, Herc. I love this. I have a lot of respect for Edson Alvarez, but I'm not crazy to think that he could be on a team like Chelsea and be guaranteed playing time, or even a club like Borussia Dortmund, which I think is a level above West Ham. I think what's very clear here is that this is a good fit. Yes, they're going to be in Europa League. They weren't that far out of the relegation fight last year. This is a place where Edson Alvarez should be able to step in, play every week, have some patience around him. Maybe the expectations won't be what they would be at a bigger club. And by the way, it's still a situation, Herc, and I think he's still at an age of 25, where this is not necessarily the high point, the high watermark of his career. This could absolutely, after a couple good years at West Ham, lead to a much bigger move, the type of move that maybe some fans were hoping they'd get for Edson Alvarez this time around.
I mean, hopefully. That's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is that for the Premier League teams dropping $40+ million like Edson Alvarez, that in Mexican transfer history would make him the top, would be a drop and a half for these Premier League teams. And if it didn't pan out, they just move on to the next. That's a harsh reality. So very deep waters, but I repeat, it's a massive opportunity that you just cannot turn down if you're Edson Alvarez.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.